Very good morning to you, one of our early risers here. It's 20 minutes past 5. It's wonderful to be with you at the early hours of this morning as the voting has come to an end, and it's now the counting phase. And I think this is the very, very exciting part. Although it's very, very early in the counting process to start making projections and predictions, there are still interesting results that are actually emerging at this time. Let's take a picture and have a look at the board behind us, just to give you an idea, if you have just woken up and tuned in, to see exactly how the counting process is going. I'm going to turn around as well and have a look with you at the same time. The three leading parties at this point, we've got the ANC at 1,415,502 votes. That's an important one to have a look at. Of course, that's the leading party at this stage. No surprises over there when we're looking at a national result. Let's go down to the third leading party. That would be the DA at 771,643,000, and there is the EFF almost sitting at 100,000 votes. It's got 96,316,000 votes. So that's what the picture looks like there in terms of the three leading parties. And there comes the IFP at 49,429. That would come out fourth there. And just after that, I would imagine it's the NFP at 34,737, and then the Freedom Front Plus at 32,073. The UDM 24,762. Early days, we keep saying that, we keep emphasizing it, but there's still a lot you can read into these elections at this time. Dirk Kotze is with me. He's an analyst, and we've been chatting a bit about the interesting part. Let's first start off with the EFF. Can we almost guarantee that Julius Malema has got a seat in Parliament? Because don't you need 50,000 votes to get in? He's in.
Yes. No, he will certainly be
He's in.
Yes, and I think we can expect that the EFF will have quite a number of votes. More than 10, I guess, at this early stage already.
Yeah.
Now, if they have 3% to 5%, that will mean certainly more than 10 votes.
All right, last year, at the last general elections, I remember Cope was the big story.
Yes.
EFF now is the big story. We'll get to Cope in a short while, because that is a bit of a sad story at this point. The EFF in the provinces, because there have been a couple of provinces where the EFF have been campaigning exceptionally hard. Let's look at Gauteng first, because that's where they're doing the best now.
Yeah, that appears to be the case, and I think that was in the end also the prediction that that in Gauteng they have at the moment now
13,492.
Yes, and I think the disappointment to some extent are the two provinces where they're expected to do the best, and that is in Limpopo and in Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
Especially in Mpumalanga. In Limpopo they are very close to the DA. Then in the Western Cape was the other province where they thought that the EFF will do quite well. At this stage they are not doing very well. And then in the Eastern Cape, which was not necessarily expected, the EFF is actually doing quite well at this stage, almost the same as that of Gauteng.
Yeah.
There might be an explanation for that, and that is that many of the mine workers who are working in the northwest in the platinum mines actually come from the Eastern Cape, and we've also seen that the Bantu Misa of the UDM cooperated quite closely with the EFF in order to mobilize that support of the mine workers there.
Yeah, all right. So quite interesting to see that the EFF not doing as well in the areas that they thought they would. Again, it is early days. We have to keep emphasizing that. You're going to get tired of me hearing that, because it really is the early stages of voting, of the counting process. But let's just break it down. We focused in on the Gauteng province. We said that the EFF are doing quite nicely there, having 13,492% of the votes there. The ANC, however, coming out tops at this point, 86,401, followed by the DA at 49,412 of the votes. That's focusing in on Gauteng. I mentioned Cope being the story in the last elections.
Yes.
I suppose it can be the story in this elections as well, but it's a very sad story. They're not doing very well at all.
No, not at all. Starting with the Northern Cape, where they had, which was the best province with more than 16%. At the moment, if we look at the Northern Cape, they are way down with with only 5,000 votes compared to the DA's 30,000. So there's a major shift, and it looks like as if most of the Cope votes most possibly have gone to the DA so far in the Northern Cape, which was to some extent expected. But for example, the ANC would have liked to see that the Cope votes will rather go to the ANC.
Yeah.
So that's a major shift. In the other provinces, like the Eastern Cape, which was the second strongest province, there they've also lost a lot. They have only just over 5,000 votes.
Yeah.
So it's a clear indication that I think Cope is one of the worst case scenarios for Cope at the moment.
Yeah, not a good picture for Cope at this point in time. If we look at the total of the national results for Cope, only 19,991 votes counted. That's what they got. Before we go to our regions, and I know Tabiso standing by, a lot of our reporters and anchors have been on standby all night. I just want to talk about a hung essay as well. People were very, very excited in the beginning,
yes,
but it doesn't seem that they're even making a blimp on the radar.
No, I think for the Ahang supporters, it should be a major disappointment. There was a little bit of expectation, despite the blunder of the president and the DA. They couldn't recover at all, and I think they are going to be considered as one of the minor parties in Parliament. They will most certainly have 1 or 2 seats in Parliament. But that will be it. It's not going to play any significant role. Will not be like even a player in terms of creating alliances or anything in Parliament.
Yeah, it's a pity. So just to put you in the picture, a hung SA at this point has 5,680 votes. So that's not a great performance if one is expecting a party to come in and make any form of an impact when it comes to having an appearance there. But the big stories, the EFF doing exceptionally well at this stage, the ANC of course coming out tops, and then the DA. So that's just to update you now. We're sitting at around about 20% of the vote, or just over 20% of the votes counted, and that counting process is vigorously underway. We'll keep on updating you.